The Sonimus A console is a software plugin engineered for the emulation of analog mixing console operational workflows and intrinsic sonic characteristics. The plugin design targets the capture and replication of the textural and sonic attributes associated with vintage 1604 and 1608 console hardware. While drawing influence from these specific units, console possesses a proprietary emulation profile, calibrated to impart characteristics such as harmonic warmth, transient punch, and perceived stereo field depth. The emulation specifically models a character identified with tube-driven circuitry, contributing to a distinct presence within audio signals. The A console incorporates established processing features derived from preceding Sonimus console emulation products, presented within a revised graphical user interface. Noteworthy technical advancements in this iteration include the integration of selectable linear phase and minimum phase oversampling algorithms, native support for Apple Silicon processor architectures, and expanded parameter access via a dedicated extra settings panel. The GUI facilitates optimized operational efficiency, notably through the implementation of a master grouping system within the bus module, enabling consolidated parameter control and linking across multiple plugin instances. Console operates as a single binary plugin offering two interchangeable operational modes, channel and bus. Selection between modes is performed via the top left UI icon or the Select Module button in the main menu. Channel module application, intended for insertion as the initial plugin in the insert chain of individual audio tracks. This configuration emulates the signal flow through a single channel strip of an analog console. Bus module application, intended for insertion as the initial plugin in the insert chain of auxiliary tracks, group tracks, or the master output bus. This configuration emulates the signal flow through the summing or master sections of an analog console. Operational methodology, gain staging. Optimal sonic performance is achieved through appropriate gain staging into the A console emulation circuitry. It is recommended to utilize the channel module's internal fader for initial signal leveling prior to host DAW fader adjustment or subsequent plugin processing. Adjust the fader to achieve an average signal level registering at 0 VU on the integrated VU meter. This action optimizes the signal level presented to the internal emulation stages, influencing desirable harmonic saturation and dynamic response. The VU meter features user-selectable calibration points of 0 VU equals -26 dBFS or 0 VU equals -14 dBFS, allowing for workflow adaptation. An integrated RMS sensing meter providing visual indication of signal level at the emulation input stage. Push controls the input level driving into an internal soft clipping circuit, concurrently applying dynamic range compression. Utilized to increase harmonic saturation and control peak transients. Effect is more pronounced on the channel module. Fader, adjustable level control influencing the signal amplitude entering the primary emulation circuit. Nominal calibration is relative to unity gain. Integrated high-pass and low-pass filters featuring a fixed 6 dB octave slope for fundamental frequency shaping. Crosstalk, parameter enabling the simulation of inter-channel signal coupling characteristic of analog console designs. Selectable intensity modes include vintage, higher coupling coefficient, modern, lower coupling coefficient, and off, zero coupling. In, a toggle switch that bypasses the primary harmonic saturation processing stage while maintaining the functionality of level control, fader, out, and metering. FAT, a selectable operational mode. It engages a distinct saturation algorithm and response curve modeled after specific vintage hardware characteristics, referenced implicitly. Trim as drive, implements an inverse linkage between the input gain parameter and the output attenuation stage. Increasing input gain automatically reduces the output level, effectively repurposing the gain control as a drive parameter with relative output level compensation. Meter pre toggles the signal source for the VU meter display between the input, pre-saturation, and output, post-saturation, stages of the signal path. Filters pre configures the internal signal flow to position the high-pass and low-pass filters before the primary saturation stage. Out, a post-processing gain control parameter for fine-tuning the final output level of the plugin instance. Mix, a linear dry, wet blend control situated post-output. Adjusts the ratio between the unprocessed, dry, and processed, wet, signals without influencing the overall output level established by the out control. Master grouping. An advanced control system enabling centralized parameter management across multiple distributed A-console instances, inclusive of both channel and bus modules, from a single designated controller instance, typically located on the master output bus. Activated via a control within the plugin's menu on the designated master grouping controller instance. Individual A-console instances are assigned to specific user-defined numerical groups via their respective interfaces. The master grouping interface on the controller instance provides consolidated volume, saturation enable, bypass, FAT mode toggle, and drive parameters for each assigned group. User-editable text labels for groups are available via a right-click context menu for enhanced session organization. Global controls. Parameters such as FAT mode and saturation bypass within the master grouping interface can be applied globally to all instances across all controlled groups simultaneously. Group control applies the linked gain output compensation functionality collectively to all instances within a selected group, controlled from the master grouping interface. Trim routing. A selectable parameter within the master grouping interface defining which module types, channel, bus, or both, within a controlled group are affected by the group fader control. Oversampling algorithms. Console employs internal oversampling processing to reduce aliasing artifacts and enhance sonic fidelity. Two distinct algorithms are provided. Linear phase mode utilizes a phase-coherent oversampling algorithm, recommended for critical mixing and mastering applications, characterized by higher computational load and CPU consumption. Minimum phase mode employs a low-latency oversampling algorithm, approximate latency, 3 samples. Optimized for real-time processing, tracking, live performance. Characterized by minimal, psychoacoustically insignificant phase alteration and lower CPU consumption. For optimal sonic consistency, it is recommended to select and maintain a consistent oversampling mode throughout the mixing, mastering signal chain rather than engaging it solely during the final rendering process.